The first thing which I would want to start is what is CFA course. So CFA stands for Chartered Financial Analyst. CFA, Chartered Financial Analyst. It covers the analysis of financial statements. Now, what do you mean by financial statements? Every company wants to show their financial performance to the investors. Every company जहाँ पे investors ने अपना पैसा लगाया है, every company where investors have invested their money, the investors would like to know that the company where they have invested, is it doing well or is it doing bad? If it is doing well, then they will invest more. And if it is doing bad, then they will take their money back. So every company by regulation has to report their financial performance to the investors. All right. It's sometimes reported quarterly and sometimes reported annually. Generally, annual performance is kind of considered to be more important because that annual performance is something called as verified, which in the word of accounting is called as audited. So I just took the word accounting. So let me explain a quick difference between accounting, which is at the heart of a CA course, and finance, which is at the heart of a CFA course. And then you guys can decide for yourself where your heart is. Is it towards accounting or is it towards finance? So what do you mean by accounting? Accounting is a process of making the financial report. So whatever a company has done in a year, so might be company might have purchased raw materials, company might have processed those raw materials into finished good, company might have sold those finished good to the customers and then collected money from the customer. Company might have paid salaries to the employees, company might have paid electricity bill, company might have paid interest, company might have paid tax. All these things that company does in a specific, in a 1 year, that complete thing, putting that into the financial statements is what is called as accounting. In many courses, it is also called as bookkeeping. All right. So accounting is a process of converting all the activities that company does into the financial performance of the company. What do you mean by financial performance? In simple word, company is making profit or loss. If it is loss, that's bad. If company is making profit, that's good. But how good is it? Is it small profit? Is it quite high profit? And what do you mean by high? So that is all covered in the concept of accounting. For those people from a commerce background, this will be a little better understood by a steps, a sequence, which is goes from your journal entries, then your ledger, then your trial balance, and then your income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow. Repeat: the journal entries, the general ledger, then the trial balance, and the income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow. Those who are not from a commerce background, probably this might have sounded Latin and Greek. Don't worry about it. This is called as a process of accounting, which is at the heart of a CA course, Chartered Accounting course. CFA is about finance. One basic thing which is there in the CFA is not accounting, where accounting gets over at that time the CFA starts. All right. CFA starts when the financial statements which depict the financial performance of a company are already prepared. So CFA is not about preparation of the financial statements. The financial statements which are already prepared and, by the way, verified also, which are in the accounting world is called as audited. So prepared and audited, that is verified, financial statements would be given to you as a chartered financial analyst. Your role is to analyze them and find out whether the company is a good investment or a bad investment. If it's a good investment, then you will recommend this company to be added in the portfolio of your client. All right. And in case the company is bad, then you will recommend those clients who already have that company in their portfolio to remove it. Portfolio matlab investments which the client has made. So if that company is good company, then you will ask the client to buy the shares of that company. And if the company is bad company, then you'll ask the client to sell the shares of that company. So this is at the heart of the Chartered Financial Analyst course, which is conducted by US Society. Earlier, this course in India till around 2013 January to be specific, used to be conducted by CFA Society US as well as ICFI Society Hyderabad. There was a conflict between these two, And then there was an out of court settlement, and the US CFA Society won the kind of out of court settlement. Now, after 2013, only US CFA Society is conducting the CFA course in India. All right. So in India, only US CFA Society is conducting the course. That Indian CFA Society ICFI is no more conducting a CFA program. This program of US CFA Society, which is being conducted in India, is the same program which is happening worldwide. So does that mean that I will be able to complete this course and will I get a job abroad? I'll talk about that slowly. At first part, we are focusing on what is the content of a CFA course. So first content of the CFA course is analysis of the financial statement, which have already been prepared by a chartered accountant, which has already been verified, that is audited by an auditor. Your role is to analyze it. So how do you analyze it? There is something called as ratio analysis. Some of you might be heard about it. So I'm just taking this name. If you aren't heard about it, don't get panicked. Something called as current ratio, quick ratio, profitability ratios are the ratios which are used to, I'm just saying these are few of the ratios which are used to find out whether a company is a good company to invest or a bad company to take your money back. All right. So that's one part which is there in the CFA course. Shall I write it down? I think let me write it down. Maybe it's already, I already made a PPT of it. So one thing which already covered, which is there in the CFA course, is the financial analysis. All right. So the second thing is investments. Investments. So where you directly or your clients can invest. There are basically majorly two types of investments, although there are two more, but basically there are two types of investment. One is little bit safer and one is slightly riskier. One is slightly riskier, one is little bit safer. So what is the difference? I'll take an example. State Bank of India में आप FD भी खोल सकते हो. You can open a FD in State Bank of India as well as you can invest into State Bank of India share. So you can invest into FD of State Bank of India also, as well as you can invest into share, equity share of State Bank of India also. If you invest into State Bank of India ka FD, then while at the time when you purchase the FD, at that time there would be some things which are mentioned on the FD. Number one, obviously the amount that you are investing. Number two is the maturity date. On that date, your FD will mature, your FD will expire, and you will get your money back. And number three is the fixed interest rate that the SBI agrees you to pay. All right. So whether the SBI would be doing amazingly well or whether the SBI is doing amazingly bad, irrespective of that, the rate of return that will be given on your FD would be the 3.5% or 4%, whatever is printed on the FD. So the rate of return that is given on the FD is independent of the performance of the company. The company State Bank of India might be doing awesome, or the company State Bank of India might be doing amazingly bad. Irrespective of that, the return that the FD will give you would be fixed, whatever is printed on the FD certificate. FD certificate does not give you certain things. The FD certificate does not give you a voting right. So if SBI has to acquire some bank, let's say SBI has to acquire, let's say Bank of India. So in that case, the permission of the shareholders would be asked. Permission of the FD holders will not be asked. I repeat, if State Bank of India has to take some important decision, like whether we should buy Bank of India or whether you should buy Bank of Baroda, for such important decision, the votes of the shareholders will be asked. Votes of the fixed deposit holders will not be asked. So let's see what is the shares. In the shares, the return comes from two things. There is no maturity in the shares. Shares are like perpetual investment. So there's no maturity with the shares. So you invest in the shares, like FD has a maturity date on which FD expires. Shares never expire. However, luckily, shares are traded on the NSE and the BSE, where you can sell those shares on the NSE and BSE to other investors who may like to purchase that share. So although you cannot go back to SBI and say, "Ye raha aapka share, mujhe nahi chahiye," you can do that with FD. FD, you can go to SBI and say, "I want to prematurely close this FD. I don't want this FD. Take it back." If the bank could apply some penalty, could give you lower interest rate, but you will get your money back. That you can't do with the share. You can't go to SBI and say, "Ye raha aapka share, mujhe nahi chahiye, give my money back." that will not be allowed. However, you can go on the NSE and BSE and then sell that share at the prevailing market price to the other investors. All right, so that's on the NSE and the BSE, that is, which is called as Security Market Exchange, NSE and the BSE. All right, so how is the return of a share would be determined? It generally comes from the dividend and the share price change. Both dividend and the share price share, that is both returns coming from the shares, depend on the performance of the company. So if State Bank of India is doing amazingly well, in that case, the dividend and the share price increase would be amazingly well. The return of the stock would be amazingly well. And if State Bank of India is doing pathetically bad, in that case, there will not be any dividend and the share price will also crash. You will have a loss. So basically the return on the share is completely dependent on the performance of the company, and the return of the FD is already printed on the FD, and that does not depend on the performance of the company. I repeat, return of the FD is already printed on the FD. That does not depend on the performance of the company, but return of the share is not printed on the share certificate. Return of a share depends on the performance of the company. If company does amazingly well, the return of a share would be amazingly awesome. But if the company does pathetically bad, the return of the share would be pathetically bad. It could be even negative, where you might be losing the money also. There could be negative returns also. But what does the share gives you is a voting right. The share gives you a voting right where you will have a say whether State Bank of India should buy Bank of India or should the State Bank of India buy Bank of Baroda. FD holders do not have a say, shareholders have a say. So these are the two investments. Safer investment is FD because you get a predetermined fixed rate of return, and share is a slightly risky investment where the return varies depending on the performance of the company. So are there only two investments? No, there are few more investments. Next investment is real estate investment. Real estate means flats, property. So property investment is called as real estate investment. So why a separate discussion on the real estate investment? Answer is simple. A real estate requires huge investment. You cannot invest 10,000 rupees in a real estate. You can invest 10,000 rupees in FD. You can invest 10,000 rupees in shares, but you cannot invest 10,000 rupees in real estate. It requires huge investment. And secondly, the huge investment is unique. I'll give you an example. So here we have Abhimanyu. So let's say Abhimanyu holds a Reliance share, and Ajmal also holds a Reliance share. So Reliance share is held by Abhimanyu also and Ajmal also. So the share owned by Abhimanyu of Reliance and share owned by Ajmal of Reliance, they are unique. They are same. So I do not have to Reliance share hold by Abhimanyu separately, and I do not have to value share hold by Ajmal separately. Value means I don't have to calculate the value of the share of Abhimanyu and share of Ajmal separately because their shares are similar to each other. So I just need to calculate value of a Reliance share, and that value would be same to the value of Abhimanyu shares as well as Ajmal shares because both are holding the share of Reliance. But let's say Abhimanyu has a property in Sion and Ajmal also has a property in Sion. They stay in the same building. They stay on the same floor. But still the property of Abhimanyu and the property of Ajmal, which is in the same building, which is in the same floor, still may not be same because it could be possible that Abhimanyu's flat is east-west and Ajmal's flat could be south-north. So the directions view could be different, and hence the value of Abhimanyu's real estate investment and the value of Ajmal's real estate investment could be different. Heterogeneity. Heterogeneity means unique nature is a second thing which is specifically there in the real estate. First thing, it requires huge investment, and second thing, the heterogeneity. That each real estate investment is different from other. All right, view could be different. If we talk about the same building, 10th floor ka real estate ka investment ka price would be different from the first floor. I think you will be knowing there is something called as floor rise. So that's the reason we have a real estate investment being discussed separately. Then we have commodity investment. So what is commodity investment? We have in CFA Institute has it. I mean, I'm not having my own course. I'm just teaching CFA ka course. So commodity investments. Commodity means gold, silver, crude oil, etc., etc., etc. So very specific thing which is unique with the commodities is that the storage sometimes is not possible. And sometimes when it is possible, it's not that easy to store. Crude oil, natural gas, you cannot buy, because if you buy it, you can't store it because it's not possible. It's not physically possible to store the crude oil and natural gas. All right. So some commodities cannot be purchased and stored. So how do we trade in those commodities? I'll talk about it. Second type of commodities are the commodities which you can buy, you can store, for example, gold and silver. But the storage cost of gold and silver would be quite high. You cannot keep the gold in open air. If you keep that, either it will get stolen or it will get rusted. I wouldn't say like iron kind of rusted, but still the quality of the gold which is kept in the open air could be deteriorating. So you have to keep you have to keep a gold in a safe locker, jiska cost you will have to pay. So there is a storage cost associated with some commodities which are storable. Some commodities are absolutely not storable. So how do we buy them? We'll discuss that. So that's the specific thing about the commodities. Then we have another investment which is a little complicated and which you may like it, which is about derivatives. No, it's not the d by dx of x square equal to 2x. How many of you understood what did I just say? Raise hand. D by dx of x square equal to 2x. Many people understood it, so they are from a science background. So if you are from a science background, you will understand what did I say right now, d by dx of x square equal to 2x. If you have not understood it, probably you may not like the maths, or you might be from a commerce background, so you don't like maths. Don't worry about it. The derivative in the mathematics and the derivative in the finance is different. The derivative in the finance, the word derivatives comes because the value of this instrument is derived from something else. The value of the derivative instrument is being derived from something else. That something else could be your Nifty, Sensex, that is the indices, the Nifty, the Sensex are the indices based on which the value of this instrument could be derived. It could be a stock, it could be TCS ka stock. So TCS ke stock price ke upar the value of this instrument could be derived. It could be interest rate, like whatever RBI is doing with the interest rate, based on that the value of this instrument could be derived. It could be exchange rate, $1 equal to rupees 75. As that keeps on fluctuating, the value of this derivative instrument would change. So the value of these instruments could be derived from exchange rate. Value of this instrument could be derived from interest rate, could be derived from stock price like TCS, or it could be derived from the Nifty or the Sensex. All right. And hence the word derivatives. There are two types of derivatives. I'm just going to name them. I'm not going to go in the depth of it right now because this is not only about the contents of the CFA. We're going to address a lot of things. So forward futures is one type of derivative, and second is called as options, which are two types, call option and put option. Just to give you a brief, suppose I agree to buy this mobile 3 months from now, but the price would be fixed right now. So let's say I enter into the agreement with Abhishek. I enter into the agreement with Abhishek where I would be selling this mobile to Abhishek. Abhishek agrees to purchase this mobile from me, but not immediately, not on the spot, after 2 days, after 5 days. Then that agreement where Rajaram Kamath is committed to sell mobile, Abhishek Shah is committed to buy mobile, is called as a forward agreement, where Abhishek was committed to buy mobile, Rajaram was committed to sell mobile. All right, so this is a forward agreement, also called as a future agreement. Let me give another example. Let's say this time I'm talking to Deep Lakshmi. So Deep Lakshmi ke liye, let's say I give a right to buy this mobile to Deep Lakshmi. So Deep Lakshmi now has a right to buy this mobile. Compared to the Abhishek, Abhishek was committed to buy. Deep Lakshmi has a right to buy. Abhishek had entered into a forward agreement because he was committed to buy this mobile. Deep Lakshmi has not committed to buy the mobile. I have given a right to Deep Lakshmi to buy this mobile. So Deep Lakshmi has an option to buy, not a compulsion to buy. This is what is option. And to be specific, the option to buy which Deep Lakshmi has is called as a call option. All right. I may have option to sell the mobile to Bhakti. So Rajaram Kamath has an option to sell mobile to Bhakti Shelar. So Rajaram Kamath has an option to sell, which is called as a put option. So Deep Lakshmi had an option, not a compulsion to buy the mobile. Deep Lakshmi had a call option. Rajaram Kamath has an option to sell to Bhakti. So Rajaram Kamath had an option to sell, which is called as a put option. Full stop. Because I can go on and on over here, but I don't want. I want to stay focused. I just want to introduce you to the subjects of CFA. So these were all the investments. Let me just take a note of what investments we discussed. The investment we discussed were shares, bonds. Shares means equity shares. We discussed bond, we discussed real estate, we discussed commodities, we discussed derivatives and exchange rate. All right, so these are the investment. You can invest into dollars, you can invest into euros, etc., etc., etc. So this is apart from the financial statement analysis. This is also what you see in the CFA course. Next thing that you see in the CFA course is research. What do you mean by research? You could do research of Indian economy and then find out at what month the corona vaccine is going to come out and the Indian economy will be coming out of so-called stagnation. So economy is stagnated right now. So you can do a research on the Indian economy and find out in which month the economy of India is expected to arise. What could be the expected GDP growth rate of India for the current fiscal year? So that is what is called as the entire economy analysis. Sometimes you may say कि नहीं मुझे I'm not an economist, so I don't want to do an economic analysis. So in that case, you could do analysis on sector. Let's say you can do analysis on paper sector. So you can find out whether paper sector is growing at a faster rate or slower rate as compared to the economic growth rate. So the economy of India might be growing at 6%. So is the paper industry growing at a faster rate than 6 or slower rate than 6? That is what you can do analysis. Then you can do analysis on the company specific. So within the sector, there could be some companies which might be awesomely doing, and there could be some companies which might be pathetically doing. Then why some companies in the sector are doing better and why some companies in the same sector are doing pathetically bad? You can do a research on this. So you could be ending up getting a job where you, in case you like economics, then you could end up getting a job where you can do a economy analysis. Whether China economy is doing well, yeah, Indian economy is doing well, yeah, Japanese economy is doing well. Should you invest in Brazil? Should you invest in Russia? Should you invest in India, China? Which economy is going to do better? Or you could do analysis in sector that is paper sector better than IT sector, yeah, IT sector is better than healthcare sector. Which sector in the economy is going to zoom up? All right. Or within the sector, you can do company analysis and find out whether the company is doing well or whether the company is doing bad. And what is the reason because of which the company is doing well or company is doing bad. Over here, you will use some model which is called as, I'll just take a name. If you know name, if you know that name, raise hand. If you don't know the name, it's okay. Porter's 5 forces analysis. So Michael Porter has given a strategic 5 force analysis, which is generally what is going to be used in finding out which companies are going to do well, which companies are going to do bad. So good. Many of you know it. Probably it could be there in your graduation. If you have never heard about it, fine, nothing to worry. We'll be covering in the CFA course from the scratch. So that is what is about the research. Let me just go back and let me just write what is in the research. Research could be economy, could be company, could be stock specific. There are another 2 types of research. A research which is going to be used by you only. That means I do research for my own investment. So I will do research and I will invest on my own. This research is called as buy-side research. This is generally done by the mutual funds. They do research, that is, they do hire the analyst. They ask them to conduct a research, and then that research would be used by the mutual fund to buy appropriate stocks. So the research done by the mutual funds is for their own use, which is called as buy-side research. On the other hand, you have a sell-side research. Sell-side research is a research which you do and then you give that research to others. That means you communicate that research to others. So for example, I do an analysis on TCS and Infosys. And the conclusion is TCS is an awesome company and Infosys is a bullshit company. So if I'm a buy side researcher, then with this analysis, I will buy TCS because according to my analysis, TCS is an awesome company. So I'll buy TCS, and Infosys is a bullshit company. So I'll sell Infosys from my portfolio. That is in case I'm a buy side researcher. So either I will do it, or if I'm working for a SBI mutual fund or a Tata mutual fund, then SBI mutual fund or Tata mutual fund will do it. That is SBI mutual fund and Tata mutual fund. Let's say I work for Tata mutual fund. Then I will tell my boss that according to my analysis, TCS is a good company. So Tata mutual fund will buy the TCS in the portfolio. And let's say Infosys is a bad company according to me. So Tata mutual fund will remove Infosys from the portfolio. That's buy side mutual, sorry, that's buy side research. On the contrary, there's sell side research where I will do a research, and whoever is the attendees over here, I will put it that according to my research, TCS is a good company. Please invest in the TCS. Infosys is a bad company. Please remove Infosys from your portfolios. I am not doing a research for myself. I am doing a research for you guys. Why? Am I kind of like a social worker where I'll be doing a service for you guys? No, I am not a social worker. I would be a broker in this case. I would be a Sher Khan. I would be an India Infoline. I would be a Motilal Oswal. Why does Sher Khan, Motilal Oswal, India Infoline do this research work? Sher Khan, India Infoline, Motilal Oswal are the brokers. They generate their commission, which in India we specifically call that as a brokerage, and that brokerage would be generated only and only if the clients do trade. If the clients don't trade, there will not be any brokerage generated to the brokers. So brokerage company, in order to generate brokerage, that is commissions, they would give recommendations to the clients that this is a good stock, buy it. This is a bad stock, don't buy it. With this recommendation, the clients will trade, and as the clients trade, the brokerage companies generates the brokerage. All right. So it is necessary for a brokerage company to do a research and then recommend this is a good company, buy it. This is a bad company, don't buy it. These recommendations are called as sell side recommendation. So the research which is done by the mutual fund will not be given to the clients. So it will be used by the mutual fund exclusively. Buy side research, and the research which is done by the brokerage houses would be given to the clients, or it could be sometimes printed in the newspapers also, like the Business Standard, the Economic Times. The Mint will show that according to India Infoline, this is a good company to buy. So this research would be recommended to the clients so that clients can buy it or clients can sell it. By that, client will trade and the brokerage house will generate a brokerage. So that's the another way of calling the research: buy side research and the sell side research. Next one is trading, which will be covered in detail in the CFA course, like who is a broker, who is a dealer, what do you mean by bid ask, what do you mean by margin trading, what do you mean by intraday trading, what do you mean by upper circuit, what do you mean by lower circuit, what do you mean by short selling, what do you mean by BTST, buy today, sell tomorrow? What do you mean by a regulator? What is the role of SEBI? What is the role of AMFI? What is the role of the DMAT conversion? I mean, those who hold the shares in the DMAT account. So what is the role of that? So that you will get to know in the trading part of the CFA. Taking a loan and buying is something called as margin trading, which is quite commonly common practice in India. So those who trade would know what is the concept of margin trading, as well as short selling. These are the things that will be covered in detail in the course of CFA. So that's the trading part, which will be covered in the course of CFA. Next, which is covered is valuation, and this is the heart of the CFA course, which is about valuation. Generally, you can value anything. You can value this mobile. You can value this remote, you can value this mouse, you can value anything. But generally in the course of CFA, we'll be focusing on valuation of equity shares. All right. How will that be used? Understand it carefully. Suppose I calculate the value of this mobile, and the value of this mobile is 1 lakh rupees. Value is 1 lakh rupees. And the price of this mobile is 10 lakh rupees. Value was 1 lakh. Price was 10 lakh. price is too expensive. I will not buy this mobile. This mobile would be a bad investment because value was only 1 lakh, price is super expensive. This is not a good investment because price was super high. On the contrary, I calculate value as 1 lakh, price is 10,000. Compared to the value of 1 lakh, price is only 10,000. This mobile is very cheaper. This mobile is a good investment. So basically, I hope you got the logic of it. You calculated value and then compared the price in conjunction, in relation to the value. When price was 10 lakh, it was super expensive. It was a bad investment. And when the price was 10,000 compared to the value of 1 lakh, the price of 10,000 was a cheaper price. Investment was good. So basically, you do valuation to find out whether the price is cheaper than the value, it's a good investment, or price is expensive than the value, is not a good investment. So valuation is at the heart of CFA course. So we'll be valuing a equity share. There are certain techniques which we'll be using in the valuation of equity shares. I'll just name them. Intrinsic valuation, also called as fundamental valuation, comparable valuation, also called as relative valuation, and something called as the asset based valuation. Nahi samjha? ठीक है. Ram, Sham, and Gita are the three names of valuation. So just take it in that way. Fundamental valuation, relative valuation, and asset-based valuation. I just took the name just for those guys who could know about it. कि ये कहीं ना कहीं we have learned it. All right. Similarly, we will be also doing valuation of FD, that SBI का FD जो हमने purchase किया था. तो उस FD का valuation we would also be looking at the valuation of that FD. We will be also looking at the valuation of the forward contract that I entered with Abhishek. We will be also doing a valuation of the call option which was there with Deep Lakshmi. We will be also valuing the put option which was there with me. So valuation of call option, valuation of put option specifically is done with the help of two models. एक model का नाम शायद नहीं सुना होगा, but second model का नाम some of you might have heard about it. The first model, which the name you may not have heard, is binomial model, and the second model, which I believe some of you would have heard the name, just raise hand if you have heard about that name, Black-Scholes-Merton model, BSM model. Some of you might have heard about that name called as BSM model. So again, Ram and Sham, if you are not knowing about binomial and Black-Scholes, it's okay. It's going to be covered in the CFA course from the scratch. Some of your friends might have heard about some things of the CFA course in their graduation. You might have heard about some other things of the CFA course in your graduation. Everyone is at par. Trust me, everyone is at par. So I'm going to address this question. I'm from a commerce background. Maths is tough for me. Will I be able to do CFA? Or I'm from engineering background. Accounts is something which is new to me. Will I be able to do CFA? Or I'm 45 years old. I have left my studies way back. Will I be able to manage CFA? I'm going to address this question. So first part is about content. So I hope you got the content of the CFA course thoroughly. Apart from this, there will be some basic subject, which is ethics. Sir, why not law? Why ethics? CFA exam is a global exam. So the exam is taken by US guys also, Indians also, Pakistanis also, Sri Lankans also, people in British also, British people also, and the laws of India, laws of British, laws of America are different. So there is no universal earthwise law, and hence they cannot introduce a subject of law. Yes, the exam is conducted by a US society. CFA society is an American society, but they are not putting American laws on you. All right. So they don't ask you to study American laws, which is good. So you will be studying something called as business ethics, which is a subject which in your graduation, which in your post-graduation might be too easy. But in the CFA course, that's the most tricky subject. I'm not calling it difficult. That's a quite tricky subject. The question solving of the ethics, that is the only way you can learn ethics. We would be covering ethics in detail, but the more expertise of ethics could be generated only when we will be solving those questions in the lectures. All right. So that's ethics subjects. Apart from that, there will be some basic subject like economics. There will be some basic subjects like financial calculator, how to use that, etc., etc., etc. So this is the contents of the CFA course, which was the part 1 of my effort to help you understand what is CFA.